Welcome to the NEWSMAKER. The Grand Resort Bad Ragaz is one of Europe's leading wellness and spa hotels and has a thermal bath history of hundreds of years. Joining me now is Marco Zanolari. He's the general manager. Let's start with a little bit of history, Marco. Absolutely. So the initial hotel was called the Quellenhof and was built in 1858. How important is history and tradition still today?
Well, like any grand hotel in Switzerland, tradition and history is something very important. For us, especially since we discovered our thermal waters over 700 years ago, we built the resort around the thermal water, and the tradition of bathing held its path through today, and it's very, very popular ever since, and therefore tradition for us is a daily business.
I actually read that the Tamina spring was discovered by huntsmen. Then the thermal bath houses were built in 1350. That's pretty amazing. Are there any similar resorts like this in Switzerland?
Well, similar to ours, there's none. With that tradition as well as the, I would say, infrastructure as it exists today. But indeed, a 700-year history that made its way from the gorge all the way down to the village of Bad Ragaz, yes.
Now, how has it become a five-star luxury hotel after being built in 1858? Yeah. Quite a trajectory, I imagine.
Well, it was built back in the day as a five-star hotel already, but I think the interesting part is that the resort has everything from five-star hotels to a three-star hotel, but also to a public bath. So we particularly want to address all clienteles. Should it be the regional clientele, but also the guests from abroad that would like to visit and stay in a five-star hotel.
But it does have a very expensive tag attached, and it's mainly catering to the wealthy and the rich individuals, isn't it?
Well, I think the resort in itself has indeed a label of a five-star resort, which it is. But we also have the Tamina Terme, which is the public bathhouse that is up to today still open to the public, and we very much encourage the region to come and visit. So it has two spas, if you like, a public one and a private one. The private one is targeting the hotel guests, hence it would be a five-star hotel environment, yes.
Now, is the spa and wellness business the biggest source of your revenues and income?
I think it has its source there. So the DNA of the resort is the water, but we developed a medical division out of it as well. So today we have over 70 medical personnel. We have 30 doctors in-house. And I would say our main source of revenue today is the leisure guest, but also the medical guest that comes to visit.
Now, it is a medical health center and clinic, and also especially for sports injuries and other treatments, therapy, etc. What are your expansion plans in this segment?
Well, we very much concentrate on anything that is prevention, but also rehabilitation. Rehabilitation coming from our past, the water, having a really good environment for rehabilitation. We of course, developed that further. We are a Swiss Olympic Medical Center as well, so the sports teams train and work out with us, but also non-pro sportsmen and ladies could come by and learn about themselves. So that is a big project of ours, but also in prevention. We see a lot of people changing their eating habits, etc. So I think it's important for a lot of our guests to learn about themselves. So we have a very interesting nutritionist program in the resort, which we enhance as well with the upcoming renovation. We also work a lot on anything that is detox, anything that is weight loss, anything that today would be called lifestyle medicine. Yes.
So how is this health segment and sector in hotels and resorts in Switzerland developing at this point?
Well, we see a big explosion in loads of medical hotels around Switzerland. So indeed, it would tell you that there is a trend, or more than a trend nowadays, that the luxury of tomorrow is changing into considering their own bodies of guests. That is going to be the luxury, so we see a shift. So would
you even say that the five-star luxury hotels are becoming healthcare resorts?
I think it's a mix. I think Switzerland has a very good reputation in the medical world. So I think combining a tradition of luxury hospitality and medical would be a good definitely a good basis for our hospitality to position itself for the future. Yes.
Do you see many other luxury hotels tapping into this industry at this moment?
Yes, we see quite a development in new projects coming online. But thankfully, having a history over 50 years gives us the pole position, which we intend to hold.
But you're not the only player, obviously, in this segment. So is the competition shaping up as well for healthcare and detox and rehabilitation facilities?
Absolutely. We see an increase in competition. We see an increase of hotels coming online. So therefore, yes, the answer is definitely so.
So how are you going to gain market share? What is your plan to, outpace the rest?
Well, one of the plans for sure is the upcoming renovation of the Quellenhof, our flagship property, which will undergo a complete renovation starting January next year for 6 months. We'll be reopening in July, so a new rooms product, but also we position our gastronomy very strongly. So we were able to gain a new chef on board. His name is Sven Wasmer, so he was already awarded 2 Michelin stars and 18 points in his previous engagement with a tender age of only 31. So we feel he has a very bright future ahead of him. And he will be establishing a health restaurant as well in the resort. It's definitely a trend we see, but which what we mentioned before, right? So the trends into health, we see it a lot in restaurants as well, but it has to be fun. It can't be the boring, I can only eat salads type of restaurant. So it has to be something you learn about yourself, you learn about what you can eat or cannot eat, if within an environment that is enticing. So he will be developing a health restaurant, as well as a gastronomy restaurant, which will be our second one on the resort. So we have one partnership with Andreas Caminada already, the 3-star chef out of Fürstenau, which we have the INIF in the resort, and now we'll have a second one with Sven. So we're going to have a very interesting, diverse food offering as well amongst our 9 restaurants in the resort.
It seems like culinary and having Michelin star, chefs and gourmet points, etc., is a must for a hotel in Switzerland and all over the world now to attract more clientele, no?
I think we see loads of trends going on right now. We definitely follow the gastronomy trend, if you like. We always have. Again, they're a big tradition in the resort. We have many, many outlets in the resort, but it's a place to meet. And I think the area we live in and positioned ourselves in kind of demands that. So we live in the middle of beautiful vineyards in a region that has a microclimate that is fantastic for food and beverage. So to offer a gastronomy that is diverse and yet local is very important to us.
Talk to me a little bit about the geographic distribution. Where do the hotel guests and the tourists mainly come from?
We still see, and thankfully see, that the majority of our guests are Swiss. So I think the tradition, again, here, talking back to tradition, has been a very strong one. So we see about 50% of our guests coming from Switzerland. Hopefully we are going to be able to enhance and build up on that, especially in the Romandie or in the Ticino.
Is one of the main reasons also the exchange rate and the strong Swiss francs that a lot of foreigners might not be able to afford?
We see this, yes. So the euro shock, as we call it, for sure has been felt throughout the hospitality in Europe and Switzerland, for sure. We have felt it quite a bit. We have recovered since. Our second market is still Germany, and we see an increase in German guests, but we also see a good number of Russian guests as well as Middle Eastern guests.
But there is a lot of competition from neighboring countries and resorts in Germany and Austria and Italy and so on. So how could you compete with those that might offer cheaper packages?
Well, I think there's several reasons. One for sure is, again, the tradition. It's the water. Very few hotels or resorts have the offering we have, with thermal water being distributed throughout the resort. It comes out of your tap. Then on top of it, we offer quite a bit of privacy. We see the trend of security and safety that Switzerland provides. So having a unique package of the Swiss umbrella and a resort of a size that is unmatched off in Switzerland. We have 2 golf courses, a casino, a medical facility, 5 hotels. You have quite a bit of space where you can spend your time in privacy and in safety.
Do you see the share of Swiss tourists in the resort decreasing or increasing going forward?
We see it increasing. We see a lot of support of Swiss nationals within Switzerland, supporting Swiss hotels. So we are, of course, very proud and happy and thankful for that. And hopefully it's going to continue to grow.
So what kind of future, special packages and offerings are you planning to offer to the Swiss tourists to attract them more?
Well, there's several offerings. I think on the weekends, we still see a big influx of gastronomy guests, so especially from the Zurich area, coming down to Bad Ragaz, where they can really indulge in several restaurants, having a really nice gastronomy weekend. For our week guests, we see a lot of increase in medical tourism, that being Swiss through the regular insurance that we have been accredited for. We also see a lot of guests just coming to linger and enjoy the spa and the wellness facilities. So thankfully, we are positioned in many, many segments, and we can cater to that, be it Switzerland or abroad.
The Koch Institute here in Zurich is pretty bullish when it comes to tourist numbers and reservations, bookings for 2019. Do you agree with them? Do you see a pickup as well? Is the sector recovering?
We see an increase. As you mentioned before, we see an increase in competition as well. I think it is very, very, very important to us that we stay ahead of the competition, that we stay innovative, and that we continue to renovate, innovate. So we see that's probably the only way to truly enlarge our piece of the pie. Yes.
Do still companies, want to own hotels at all, like the big, chains? Is it still a lucrative business, or is it more the individual hotelier that has a good reputation here in Switzerland that wants to own a hotel now?
Wow, interesting question. I think it's a diverse question. There's for sure a lot of trophy owners around the world that would like to invest into a hotel, especially in Switzerland. That can be to invest in an asset that is in a very safe country. So a hotel has always traditionally been a good investment on a long-term vision.
Now, if you compare, for example, the winter and the summer season, right? Summer when we go hiking in the Swiss Alps, and then winter when we go skiing, etc. Which season is performing better for a hotel like yours? And how can you balance between the two seasons?
Well, thankfully, we are season neutral, as we call it. We have a full-year resort. We are open 365 days a year, and we adjust our offerings according to it. Swiss hospitality traditionally is open in winter and in summer, correct? In our case, since we operate the largest spa in the country, we can operate all year round. We are not in a ski station. We are close to a ski station. So the motivations to come to us are not skiing or hiking. They're part of them, but it's a more diverse offering. So for us, summer, of course, is very strong. We see a lot of influx from Middle Eastern guests escaping the heat. Winter is very strong. We see a lot of international guests, Russian guests as well, coming to us and escape the cold and still want to be able to bath and explore and hike, but also ski. So it's a very nice, diverse offering.
And you must have noticed, however, still an impact from climate change, hotter summers, less snow in the wintertime as well. How do you hedge against climate change and all the impacts from that?
Well, we have been developing a green Christmas program. So we have added a biker station. So we added electric mountain bikes to our collection. So our guests are offered a e-bike to take and explore the trails around the mountains of Bad Ragaz. So that was one of the initiatives we have taken. We have also seen that our wines actually became available a lot earlier than they used to. So it used to be the harvest season used to be end of October, but now it already moved up nearly a month. So we can see quite a bit of a shift there. But again, for us, not being a traditional winter hotel, it doesn't affect us too much.
As you have, for example, the Green Christmas initiative, does this mean also that the Swiss hotel industry takes climate change and green winters as a norm nowadays?
I think you have to be prepared. I think preparation is a lot. And for us, it was one of the preparations was definitely going into biking as well, that we've seen a lot of destinations are doing that right now, and it becomes very, very popular.
You have mentioned a couple of refurbishments as well. For example, the Quellenhof, which celebrates 150 years next year on the 13th of July. That's a huge expense as well. How do you raise funding and how do you generate, cash for all of these renovations?
Well, thankfully, we are a profitable organization, so we can raise the money ourselves and reinvest into our expansions. We have had the last renovation 10 years ago. Last year we did the golf club as a complete new renovation, and this year we are doing the sauna area at the Tamina. So every year we are able to invest, which I think is very important to stay competitive. You have to invest every year, so thankfully we are able to do that and expand and enhance and stay up to current.
And of course you also have Mr. Schmid-Heine as one of the key investors and stakeholders as well. Are you planning to broaden that as well? For example, target more international and foreign investors instead of domestic ones?
No, with the current setup, we are very pleased. The family has been very supportive of the resort, and I hope it's going to be the same for many years to come.
Could you imagine, with all the foreign guests that you're having in the future, maybe have foreign investors from, be it Qatar or China or Russia, any other country?
I'm sure there is a lot of interest. We see a lot of interest, but for the time being, the resort has been in the same family for generations, so I don't foresee a change there.
Let's talk a little bit also about the pricing of the rooms and the hotel beds. Of course, they don't come cheap. For example, a junior loft costs some 790 Swiss francs. The spa loft superior, 1,000 Swiss francs at the minimum. It's expensive for the Swiss average citizen, no?
It is indeed an expensive offering. We do have, however, a lot of different segments that we cater for. So we have, as I mentioned, 5 different hotel segments. So we have a 3-star hotel that allows you to use our public baths as well. So the 3-star hotel starts somewhere in the mid-100 francs. Then we have recently added the Relais Chateau hotel to the portfolio, which again is positioned a little cheaper than the Hof Hotel, which you will be around 390 a night. So I think we offer something for everybody, from the regular, as you mentioned it, the regular average Swiss family, all the way to a very expensive experience. We have pretty much everything.
So what is your outlook for prices in general? We have seen a steady rise of prices for hotel rooms and beds here in Switzerland. Will they go higher from here?
Well, the renovated product will be repriced for sure. Every time you make a significant investment, has to have some sort of a repay, of course. So that will be repositioned a little more expensive. However, the other offerings remain the same, and we will remain as welcoming as we always have.
Social media, Instagram play a major part as well. A lot of celebrities and, average people like you and me taking pictures in hotel rooms and bathrooms, etc. Is this a big factor as well, that people come just for Instagram and boost their, fame on social media?
Well, we are going with the trends, and of course we welcome the bloggers of this world, and we are very happy people share the experiences within the hotel. And yes, we do encourage it. We have our Instagram spots, just as other properties have them as well, yes. And
I've seen a lot of influencers taking pictures in the Grand Resort Bad Ragaz as well. Now, burnouts are a phenomenon of our world as well, in the work world that we live in. Do you notice an increase of people suffering from burnouts and needing a downtime as well, coming to your hotel?
Yes, we see an increase in, unfortunately, we do see an increase. I think Bad Ragaz is a very good location for such guests, because it's very quiet, it's very relaxing, the surroundings are very healthy, and a lot of the symptoms are influenced through the environment. So we see a trend that this is increasing indeed, yes.
A hotel today also needs to offer a lot of events. I read that you have, for example, classical music festivals like Next Generation in February and Music Connects in October. What are your plans on the event front and hosting big concerts?
So the big concert in February is going to be taking place next year again. It's a very, very nice tradition that started about 7 years ago, where we bring young talent in, and they are about to really be discovered as major talents in the world, and we see a lot of them having had a lot of success. So Bad Ragaz being a nice stepping stone for them in their career, we are very proud of being part of that. On a similar front, in gastronomy, we invested this year into the Gomio Garden Party, which was a great, great success. We expected to sell out maybe we hoped maybe within a couple of weeks. We sold out within 48 hours, and we had over 400 guests and 16 great chefs from Switzerland. So we're going to host the same party again next year. We have the Swiss Seniors Open in golf. Again, there we have been doing this for many, many years, and we again look forward for next year as well. So
how is, just out of interest, the casino business going?
Casino business is becoming tougher because also there a lot of competition is growing. So Liechtenstein has recently introduced 2 casinos. So of course, having 2 new casinos in the region gets the market tighter, and we can see a change in business there.
You've had some celebrity weddings as well. For example, Martina Hingis married Harry Lehman there in 2018. How are you planning to attract more of these big scale celebrity events and weddings?
Well, Martina, thankfully for us, is a brand ambassador of the Grand Resort, so we are very proud of the partnership. And it for sure was really nice for us to have her wedding with us. The increase of celebrities, again, we see them a lot. It's a lot I cannot really share who and how, but we see quite an influx of guests looking for that privacy, looking for that security, looking for that resort experience that you may not be able to get somewhere else. Sustainability
is also a big topic for the Swiss hotel industry. It's not just reusing the bathroom towels, but much more than that. Do you have a green policy as well? And how are you planning to increase, your green policy and decrease your footprint?
Absolutely. Over the last 6 years, we were able to reduce our carbon footprint by 80%. So thankfully,
how did you do that?
Thankfully, because of the water source that we have, we are able to absorb the energy from the 36-degree water that comes out of the mountain. We are able to heat and sustain the resort off the water. As a matter of fact, with the renovation, we will be able to reduce our carbon footprint to 0. So
zero, that is hardly possible.
Well, we will not use oil anymore. We will be using we'll be driven off the water heat. The electricity, we use hydraulic power. So our footprint is continuously improving, and we hope to improve it, of course, to 0. That's has to be the goal, right?
And it must be one of the New Year resolutions for you as well. Now, Marco, you have a very, very international career. You worked in China, you worked in the Middle East, in Qatar, now back in Switzerland. How should the Swiss hotel and hospitality sector adapt to the international environment and cater for more foreign tourists, in your opinion?
Well, we see again, the tradition in Switzerland has been very strong. I think we can build on that tradition. I think the values of Swiss hospitality are still and will be always very trendy. We can see an influx of tourism to great degrees, as you mentioned before as well. The outlook is very positive. I think Switzerland as a brand is very strong. Now it is up to us, the hoteliers, to deliver on that expectation. Since you have traveled as well a lot, you see the reputation of Switzerland is very, very good in the world, and we hope to deliver that. And our big resolution is to be able to cater for that.
And in the 2019 calendar year, for you personally, what are your big holiday destinations? Where are you planning to spend your holidays, Marco?
Well, initially, of course, I will be at home because we are doing a renovation. So my holiday destination will be Graubünden.
Staycation at the Grand Resort?
At the Grand Resort, correct. Towards the end of the year, we hope we escape somewhere warm. We'll see.
Where is your, holiday destination #1? Which place do you like the most in this world?
We used to live in Greece, and Athens and Greece for us, it has a very good place in our heart, for sure.